guys, today I'm going to show you the bits I've picked up from Merit. I've kind of got one of everything to show you. Everything from the brand is cruelty free and vegan. They have got some really bougie packaging. They sent me these 3 products which I tested in a separate video if you wanted to check it out, and I was really impressed with these 3 to the extent that I bought a whole face products. Some of these things I purchased with my own money, some of them I didn't, but we're going to keep it honest. And there's a few things that I was a bit disappointed by, I'm not going to lie, considering the price point of these products. A couple of things in this video I didn't really love, and I will leave timestamps so you can kind of skip ahead if you would like to, if you want to look for a particular product, because I know I did a lot of research before I purchased anything from the brand. If you want my overall thoughts up front, I would say that the quality overall is good, but I feel like weirdly not all of these products work together, even though they're all from the same brand, and the point of the brand is kind of capsule makeup, so it's a little bit confusing. I personally have sensitive dehydrated skin and hormonal breakouts, particularly on this side of my face. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but for some reason this side of my face never breaks out. This side, anytime hormonal acne pops up, is always here. What's going on? And it's not my phone, it's not my pillowcase, don't get me started. I would say some of these products are not full coverage enough to cover acne or, you know, scarring or whatnot, so I feel like they're more so for people who already have pretty good skin. A bit like Glossier, like people who just want a little tint, a little something. That being said, I feel like some of them are much more geared towards drier skin people, whereas some of them much more for oily skinned. So I'm going to give you upfront my favourite and least favourite products, and then I'm going to go into individual product reviews. So I stand by my original review of these 3 that I really love them as a trio. I feel like individually they are less powerful than the sum of all of them together, if that makes sense. Like the primer without the complexion stick is not as good, the complexion stick without the primer is not as good, and if you don't use their specific brush to apply it, it's also not as good because the complexion stick is quite dry. This is super hydrating, it's almost like oily on the skin. I really love this brush, even with products that aren't Merit related. It's a lovely brush with different like cream bronzers, cream blushes. I also really surprisingly enjoy the mascara. It's a very natural mascara, it's not going to give you like va-va-voom volume, but it's a tubing mascara, so it's very lengthening and separating and natural, and it doesn't smudge on me at all. And then my 2 least favorite products from the whole line, very disappointed, were these cheek products, which I am wearing now, but I had to layer them up, and I kind of feel like my cheeks feel quite hot because I have sensitive skin and I'm just a delicate little flower, you know. If I have to go over with a brush too many times, my cheeks start to get quite red and irritated, and these just fade away into nothing, and they also kind of lift up product from underneath. So if you try and layer them up, which you can do to an extent, but they kind of blend away into nothing. I'll do another recap towards the end of this video once I've kind of reviewed each individual product, but yeah, disappointing. Let's get into the review. If you want to see some more from me, obviously subscribe, follow my socials and stuff, but yeah, let's get straight on into it. Primer they've got is the Great Skin Instant Glow. When I first put it on, my skin goes a little bit red, but that's just because I've got sensitive skin. I find 1 pump is more than enough. It feels like quite an oily serum, which I quite like because I don't have oily skin. I'm so happy because in my order they sent a mini free sample of the same product and it's refillable. So if I'm traveling or something, I can bring a little mini of this. I just want to jump in and say, if you've also got a fringe, I wanted to show you up close. Because of the serum being really oily, I find it makes my fringe, you can kind of see, like, my fringe does not usually look like this, but it kind of makes your fringe more oily because you're applying oil to your skin, and then if your fringe sits on top of where you've put a bit of the hydrating primer, it does absorb into your hair. I mean, I have less porous hair, so oil just tends to kind of like sit on my hair. Maybe if you've got more absorbent hair, that would be a good thing. Next up we have their brush and Minimalist Perfecting Complexion Stick. I've been using this for a couple of weeks. This is not my shade, you'll be able to see it is my summer shade. The sun hasn't been out in a while. This product does not work as well on its own. If you're gonna buy the complexion stick, I think you should buy the primer, unless you have a really hydrating kind of like oil serum primer. This just doesn't seem to blend very well without a base underneath. So I feel like if you've got dry skin, this will look a little bit dry. It's also one of those products that I feel like looks good if your skin already looks pretty good, because it's not going to give you loads of coverage, and I don't find it super long lasting on the skin. You can see where I have breakouts, you can still see the breakouts. I just want to show you up close. Obviously you can see I've got some active breakouts and some scarring. This is with a little bit of concealer as well on the angrier spots, whereas on this side my skin is kind of behaving, so it looks okay. It looks quite nice and glowy. Something about this brush, it works with so many different cream products, like not even Merit products. It's a beautiful brush. I don't really go that crazy for brushes that often because I feel like there's so many options these days, but this, they put a sprinkle of stardust in this. I like to do my lips before I do the rest of my face usually. I feel like once you've got colour on your lips, you can balance out the rest of your face a bit more. I picked up one of their signature lip sticks. This is the shade Millennial, which is a kind of your lips but better nudie pink on me. I was anticipating these to be a little bit more satin than matte, but I feel like they are slightly more matte than satin, but maybe it's because I'm so used to using lip balm lip gloss these days. I'm just a gloss girl. I didn't pick up one of their oils though because I don't like lip oils. Controversial opinion, but I don't find lip oils hydrating at all. Okay, moving back to the cheeks, I picked up a bronzer, highlight and blush. Let's start with the bronzer. Now this is one of those products that blends so seamlessly and beautifully that it kind of blends away. On me, it blends away to nothing. I am a little bit disappointed in this because I love a bronzer stick. I was umming and ahhing about the shade for ages, and I actually think I matched the shade pretty well. It's the shade Siene, and because I knew it was going to blend out pretty well, this is the slightly deeper shade. I could have gone for Clay, which I think is a little bit lighter and a little bit cooler. You can go ham with it. I think this is my favourite brush to use with it because it kind of, like I say, you'll see, it kind of blends to nothing. So I am a bit disappointed in this, I'm not gonna lie. I was really looking forward to this. Maybe you can see a little bit. I'm gonna try and build it up, but I just feel like the more you have to layer it up, the less likely I'm gonna reach for it. Let me know if you've used this and really enjoy it. See, now that looks a bit orange. The consistency of these cheek products are kind of similar. They have this kind of like oily slip to it. I don't think it will be to everyone's taste. Maybe if you've got really dry skin. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin, but it does feel a little bit oily. It doesn't really set, if that makes sense. I picked up one of their Flush Balms in Stockholm. I love this packaging, this is so fun. Again, not enamored with this. Like, the colour is beautiful, but you'll be able to see when I apply it to the cheeks. In fact, on this side I'll apply it straight on, and then on the other side I'll use a brush. But the consistency is kind of oily to the extent that it sort of, again, blends away to nothing, but also kind of picks up the product underneath. I'm gonna try not to blend too much. I think you can over blend with this pretty easily. Like, don't get me wrong, it's pretty, it gives a pretty glow to the cheeks. It does not last long because of that slip. Neither of these products last long on me, like a couple of hours at most. In terms of highlighter, I picked up their Day Glow highlighting balm in the shade Cava. I think it's the lightest shade, sort of like a champagne-y, pearly. I do not need highlighter because everything else is so glowy. Cheeks are already looking pretty glowy, but this is one of those highlighters that is just sheen. It's like a dewy, again, a little bit oily. It doesn't feel heavy oily, but it feels like I'm putting oil on my skin, if that makes sense. But it's a really beautiful kind of just kind of catching the light sort of highlight. Doesn't last very long on me. Again, I would say these three products are the kind of products that look beautiful when you first put them on, but you know, half an hour later you kind of think, where have they disappeared to? Right, I've just popped a tiny little bit of brown eyeliner on, and then I'm going to move on to the Solo Shadow pot. I was umming and ahhing over which shade to get for ages. I think I actually wanted to get Mid-Century, but they didn't have it in stock. So I picked up Vachetta. I feel like any sort of warm tones make green eyes pop pretty well. This is one of those sort of one and done type eyeshadow products. You can use them as eyeliner. I'm still playing around with this. I have to say, I don't think it's like the most long wearing ever, but it doesn't feel too heavy on the eye. Like if I'm comparing it to something like the MAC paint pots, which I used ages ago when they were popping, and obviously MAC's not cruelty free, so I didn't use it anymore, but it doesn't feel as heavy as those from memory, but I don't think it's as long wearing as those. I don't know if this will replace just a regular sort of eyeshadow palette for me, but I'm going to keep testing it. Okay, and then the last thing I've got from Merit to show you guys is their mascara. This is a tubing mascara. It's in the shade Perfect Black. I've not used a tubing mascara before because I can't really compare it to other tubing mascaras. It easily comes off with water. You don't need to use a cleansing oil. It's more of a lengthening mascara than volumizing. It looks very natural. Very kind of like fluttery, lengthened lashes. Okay, so my final thoughts, my overall thoughts of Merit as a brand. I think the quality overall is really great. I love this bag. It's probably one of my favorite things from them. And in terms of my other favorite things from them, I would say the brush, and I actually would say the mascara is up there. It's one of the most natural looking fluttery lash mascaras that lasts really well. It doesn't really smudge on me at all, and I do like the complexion stick, but I don't think it will work for everyone, like I say. And I do think that you have to pair it with the priming serum, otherwise you don't get the same effect. Also, it's one of those that you, like I say, I would only reach for it on days when my skin's looking pretty good. I'm not going to wear it when I've got lots of active breakouts because it's just not going to cut it. I also really like the highlighter, but I do just find it something interesting overall about Merit that I find is that it's like all of the products I don't really feel like work together. Like I feel like this would look really nice with a different foundation, a different blush, but I don't really think it complements the bronzer and the blush because these are so glowy. I just don't feel like you need this, even though this is a really nice highlighter that just kind of looks like wet dew sort of vibe. It doesn't look glittery, doesn't look chunky at all. I would say my biggest misses and disappointments is the bronzer and blush, and maybe I just had too high hopes. I'm not sure. Let me know if you've tried these, because I just feel like, again, they sort of disappear into nothing. I mean, you can see I've got a little bit of colour on my cheeks. This will not last. For the amount of product I've packed onto my cheeks in terms of like bronzer, I don't know. I feel like maybe I need to play around with it a little bit more, but I've watched different people use it and I've tried to experiment with using the bronzer in particular. And I think maybe I'm comparing it to the Rare Beauty Happy Soul stick. This is a kind of like cream to powder formula, and it blends beautifully, but it's still there. Like if I compare the two side by side, it's a completely different formula, don't get me wrong. But this is the Merit, this is the Rare Beauty. And if I was to blend them out, that's the Merit one blended out, whereas this one just kind of sticks around a little bit more. Whereas when I'm looking at my hand in real life, this looks like nothing. It hasn't really made that much of a difference. For the effort of trying to like build it up and make it work for me, it's a disappointment. It's a shame. It's a real disappointment. Same with the blush and the fact that it takes off product underneath. It is really disappointing because I really wanted to like this, and I love a blush stick. I really, really do. I will make use of them, but slightly disappointing. The eyeshadow, like I say, I feel like I should have gone for Mid-Century, but they didn't have it in stock. But it's a fine eyeshadow. I don't think it's like game changing or anything, but it's fine. And the lipstick, again, I don't really think these are anything overly special. I think they're very, very lightweight and they feel very comfortable, but I have a million other nude lipsticks that look exactly the same as this. So that's kind of like my overall thought. I hope this wasn't too negative, because I like the brand overall, and I'm impressed with enough of the stuff that I will purchase from them if they release something quite, you know, exciting in the future. But I've got to keep it honest. Got to keep it honest here. So let me know if you've tried anything from Merit. I know it is slightly more expensive, so if you're going to make the purchase, it needs to be worthwhile. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'm very intrigued. And if you let me know how the skin, like the base products, work for you, also let me know your skin type, because maybe we have different skin types and maybe it works better for the dry skinned folk or the more oily skinned. I don't know. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was useful. If you want to see some more from me, check me out here, follow me on my socials if you'd like to, and hopefully I'll see you very soon. Bye.